Hi, my name is Casper Hansen, and today we're gonna tie this one. This is a flashwing fly, very popular pattern or type of fly during these last years here in Scandinavia. And yeah, let's get started. I use again this Pro flexi tube, but on this one I only use the small tube, and I just cut it off. This I can use later. I burn a little color here just to prepare the tube. And then I want some weight on my fly. So on this one I put on a little raw weight, the size small. It's quite heavy, made from tungsten, but doesn't take up a lot of space, and we're gonna cover up this part. But it works really good. I'm just gonna glue it with a little bit of super glue so it stays in place. Like that. Then I'm gonna cut off on the front here again. And I'm gonna burn or melt a little color here as well. All right, now we're ready. At first, I'm gonna tie in a small tail or underwing. I use a white GSP thread, which is very important for this fly because I need to be able to press the materials very hard. This is a fly more or less built with synthetic materials, so I need to make sure that they sit tight. I use a little bit of yellow fluo fiber in the tail, and I'm gonna tie it in here. Nice tight wraps, and then I'm gonna fold the other half back so I double the tail or the underwing. I use my thumbnail just to spread it out like this, and then I take my brush to spread it out a little bit more, and then I take my scissor and then I cut it and taper it. Like this. To make sure it stays in place, I just give it a small drop of super glue here so it won't go anywhere. When I tie the tail up against the raw weight, it almost stands directly up in the air. And that doesn't matter because it just helps me lift the wing later on. Next step is I'm gonna make a small ball of dubbing here. It's gonna help again to lift the wing. The whole idea behind the way that this fly is built is that I want to make a wing more or less the same way as I make a wing on my hair wing flies, where I build up the wing with a nice taper. That's the same idea I have with this one. Okay, now we have the base ready. Then I'm gonna try to make the wing. And I'm gonna mix it with some different kinds of flash. And this is where you can mix whatever you want to suit the way or the place you're gonna fish. I take a few strands of this goldish color. I take some of this as well, another variation of some gold. Then I take a few strands of this very, very fluorescent material. Then I have this, maybe, I don't know what you should call this color, but it's a mix of some pearl and some bronze and some copper. A few strands of this as well. And then I take a few of these HD angel hair with this greenish copper colors. Then I try to get everything up in my hand here. And then I'm gonna mix it a little bit. I do that by just pulling out and putting it back, pulling out, putting it back here. And I do this until I'm satisfied with the way it's been mixed. You can mix all kinds of colors to give the fly the look that you want. And this one, I want this goldish, yellowish kind of look. And now I think I'm pretty satisfied with how this is. Before I'm gonna tie in the first part of the wing, I'm just gonna cut it a little bit into shape. Again, I try to taper my wing as much as possible. And if you've seen my other movies, you all maybe also saw me a few years ago tie another flashwing where the technique was a little bit different. Both works. This is just a new way of doing it. And I think this is quite nice because now I can have this whole bunch is going to be the whole wing tied in. First bunch here, the same length as the tail or the underwing, tied with the yellow fluoro fiber. Just going to lie it here, twist the thread a little bit. 1, 2 loose wraps, just to make sure that it is where I want it to be. Spread it out a little bit. And then I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4 hard wraps. And then I'm gonna make sure I have everything on the same side. I do now. And I'm gonna just fold it back like this. And I know the next wing I want to be maybe 1 centimeter longer than the first flash wing. So I'm gonna cut it here, which might seem a little bit drastic, but it makes sense later on. Then I'm gonna put it down. And now I have this part that I'm gonna fold back. And again, make sure it spreads out nicely and doesn't. The flash has a tendency when you wrap like this to pull it on that side of the fly. So I try to make sure that it stays in place, or I pull it a little bit back so it's still balanced. Looks good. Then I take my scissor again and I'm just gonna trim it into shape. Try to, again, taper it nicely. I want the longest fibers here to be maybe about 1 centimeter longer than the first bunch I tied in. So I build up a tapered wing. Like this. Again, flash is very slippery material, so I'm just gonna make sure that it stays in place by putting on a drop of super glue here. Now I'll tie in the first hackle, and I take this banana yellow soft hackle. This fly is, maybe, as you already guessed, a little bit inspired by the banana fly, but in a flashwing version. I use the whole feather and I'm gonna wrap it 3 times. Tie it in here underneath the wing, fold back, and again very tight to make sure it stays in place. Then I use the back side of my knife here to put all the fibers on the same side of the stem. And then I'm gonna wrap the hackle. And I want it to cover up the part where I tied in the first wing. Like this. Now I'm gonna tie in the overwing, and I pick up my bunch of flash here again. The overwing can be a little bit smaller than the bunch that I used for the underwing, so it doesn't matter if I take out a few strands of the flash here. I can just see if it tapers nicely the way I want it to, but after I finish the fly I can always, trim it a little bit more, but this looks quite okay. I want this to be a little bit longer, again, maybe 1 centimeter or 1.5 than the bunch before, the second wing. This looks all right. So I'm going to tie it in here with 2-3 loose turns. Make sure that it is in place. Then a couple of nice hard wraps. And now I'm gonna tie in the last part of the wing. And that's like when I tie a hair wing fly, I want the last part of the wing to be shorter to make it, to give it like a wider shoulder, if you can call it that. And that's what I'm gonna try to do now. So these I'm gonna fold back. And again, try to spread them out, make sure they don't go down on the side too much. And now when you look at it, it doesn't look very good, but that's where my scissor comes into play, because now I'm gonna trim it again. So I keep on shaping the wing the way I want it with my scissor throughout the fly. Again, a little bit of super glue to make sure everything stays where I want it to. Of course, by tying it in like I do and folding it back, I'm pretty sure it stays, but again, it doesn't matter to make a strong fly. Then I take a piece of pheasant rump as the front hackle, and I use a yellow, fluorescent yellow dyed on the natural rump patch. I take in a bit of the fluffy part as well, because I like that to end the fly. One of the things that can be a little bit tricky when you hackle these feathers is that the stem here can be quite thick. A little trick to handle that is that you can use your thumbnail and press down a few times here to press the stem flat, so that when I'm gonna hackle it, it doesn't take up so much space, and it's all of a sudden possible to work with. Then I'm gonna tie it in here, the tip. Again, I use the back side of my knife to put the fibers on the same side. There we are. Now I'm just gonna change the thread to a olive one, which matches the fly even better than this white GSP. And I'm gonna finish off the fly with a little jungle cock. I use the Pro jungle cocks here. I cut them a little bit longer. Just because it gives me a few extra millimeters to work with. Before I tie them in, I just shape them a little bit between my nails here. So I round them off so that they follow the shape of the wing. Then I cut off the ends of the jungle cock, and then I just press it down here. So I can shape a nice head on my fly. Like that. Now the fly is almost done, but now all I have to do is to trim the wing an extra time to make sure that it has the shape that I want. A little trick can be to just brush it through here and just check out, okay, how does this look? And then maybe I just want to trim it a little bit on the side. Here and here. To give it that drop form that I'm looking for. And then I think we are pretty much done. With this yellow banana-ish flashwing fly. You can tie this in a lot of different colors. You decide yourself with the colors of flash that you choose, and you can also just changed the size of the fly by tying in longer flash wings, shorter flash wings. But I think this is a good, like, universal size, maybe 5-6 centimeters. So yeah, that's the flash wing.